Hello friends, it's Odie here. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. I hope you're all doing well. So today I wanted to share with you my finished or completed eyeshadow palette collection. I have 26 eyeshadow palettes, which I feel like in the world of YouTube makeup, that's nothing. That can barely be called a collection. But outside of YouTube, well, that's a lot of eyeshadow for one human being. So as much as I would love to try every single palette that tickles my fancy, it's just not practical for me. I don't have the space. I don't want to be wasteful. I want to use and enjoy the makeup that I own. And I also need to keep my hoarding tendencies in check. So I'm not going to buy any more eyeshadow palettes until I either use one of these up, or if one of these becomes so old that it starts to irritate my eyes, I will throw that away, and only then will I allow myself to replace that palette. So yeah, we'll just get started. I've organized my palettes by brand. I also have them in order of when I first tried each brand, if that makes sense. I hope it does. So yeah, we'll just get right into the video. Alright, so the first eyeshadow palette is my Saint and Sinner palette from Kat Von D. This was my first high-end eyeshadow palette purchase. It's also the most expensive palette in my collection. This was $83 Canadian. I did not pay full price for this. I rarely pay full price for eyeshadow palettes. I like to wait till they go on sale, or I will wait for my birthday, and if I get a gift card or some money, then I will treat myself to some makeup. But yeah, I was really excited to get my hands on this. When I finally got this home and I got to play with it and I saw how good the formula was, I was really pleased. Mind you, up until that point, I had only ever used drugstore makeup, so as you can imagine, this was a giant step up from drugstore eyeshadows. Anyways, let me open this up so you can see the inside. So the color story is kind of grungy. There are some pops of color in here. I have really enjoyed this palette. I have loved all the looks I've created with this. However, it does take a lot of brainstorming for me to put an eyeshadow look together, and I think it's because the layout of the shadows is a little bit random to me. I did have a video up where I reviewed this palette. I did end up making it private when Kat Von D was going through all her controversies. I just decided I wasn't going to use her products on my channel. I still do use this off camera though. I mean, I've already spent my money. I'm not going to be foolish and waste a perfectly good eyeshadow palette. So yes, I still do use this, and I'm not opposed to purchasing from the brand again. Kat Von D is not affiliated with KVD Beauty anymore, so if the brand ever came out with something that I thought was interesting, I wouldn't mind trying new things from them again. Let's move on. Okay, so next up are my two Juvia's Place palettes. I bought these together as a bundle, so I got the Zulu palette and the Saharan 2. But this one was the one that I was most excited about. This had great reviews on YouTube at the time. And this is a colorful rainbow palette. This was my first introduction into the world of more pigmented, colorful shadows, and I had so much fun playing and experimenting with this. The mattes worked really well. They are pigmented, blendable, buildable. The three metallics in here, they're nice. I really liked them at the time, but now that I've tried other metallic formulas, I like metallics that are more foiled, more shiny. These ones are just a little bit subdued. Again, they still have great pigment. Let me just show you. Is my camera focusing? Yeah. So they're still really pretty metallics. I just have other metallics that I like more, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with these. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this. It is a good quality, affordable palette. If you're looking for something like this, I would definitely say to check it out. The Saharan 2, this one was a pleasant surprise. I wasn't as excited about this one as I was the Zulu, but I have to say I've probably used this more than the Zulu palette, and I think it's just because it's an easy color story to work with. You get 2 rows of metallics, 1 row of mattes. The palette works really well. It is good quality. I can create a more natural neutral look, or I can do something more dramatic with some depth. Overall, really like this. I'm not sure if you can still get this on the Juvia's Place website. I've heard rumors that this is actually discontinued. So yeah, if it is, I'm glad I was able to get my hands on it. Next are my 2 fun size palettes from Violet Voss. This one is the one I tried first. I do have a video where I reviewed this, so I will link that in the description box, and any other videos that I have reviewing any of these palettes, those will all be in the description box. If you want to check those out, you can. But spoiler alert, I was kind of disappointed in this palette. This is an all shimmer palette, and for me this just fell a little bit flat. Just like my metallics, I want my shimmers to be really special, very sparkly, and these ones were good, but they just weren't as good as I wanted them to be, especially since Violet Voss is a higher end brand. I was just expecting a lot from this palette, and I don't feel like I got that. I do want to say though that I have changed the way I prime my eyes, meaning I actually use eyeshadow primer, 2 eyeshadow primers to be precise, and I do feel like that does make a difference in the way my eyeshadows perform and how they wear. So this does perform better for me now, but I still stand behind my original criticism that it's just a little bit lackluster. However, Violet Voss was redeemed in my books when I tried this little palette right here. This is the Sparkling Cherry Limeade, and I got this for my birthday. And this is another almost all shimmer palette. There are 2 mattes in here. It's those sequin mattes with the sparkles or the glitter in them. And honestly, I think I've only used those like twice. If I'm reaching for this palette, I'm going to be using the shimmers. And yeah, I love this palette. This is such a beautiful, colorful, vibrant palette. The shadows, they are very sparkly. Let me just show you here. I love this bright lime yellow. This is very unique to my collection. I don't have another shimmer like that. So yeah, I hope you can see if my camera will focus. So yeah, these are just super pigmented, very sparkly on the eyes. I especially love reaching for this palette when I have a, mostly neutral eye look and I want very bright pops of color in my inner corner or my lower lash line. This is perfect for that. So yeah, really enjoyed this palette from Violet Voss. And if I ever make room in my collection, I wouldn't mind trying more from this brand. Okay, so I have 1 palette from Revolution Makeup or Makeup Revolution. I can never remember what this brand is called because I feel like it has so many different branches of brands. I don't know. But anyways, I have 1 palette from this brand, and this one is called Eat, Sleep, Makeup, Repeat. This one has a little bit of sentimental value. I did a gift exchange with another YouTuber back in my early YouTube days, and they ended up sending me this palette. At the time, I had only heard of this brand through YouTube. I could not get a hold of this where I lived. However, our drugstores do carry Makeup Revolution now. Yeah, I'm pretty sure like 4 or 5 years ago, we didn't have this in store. So yeah, I was really excited to receive this palette. It is another rainbow palette. You will see this color story a lot. I like what I like, and I like color. But yeah, I had a lot of fun playing with this. I don't really use this anymore, and that is because, I don't know if you can see, but I have hit hard pan on a few of these shadows. Yeah, you can see where I've tried scratching out the product. So yeah, because of that, I don't really use this anymore, but I keep it in my collection because, like I said, it has a little bit of sentimental value, and I'm like that. I like to keep things because of memories. So yeah, this will probably stay with me for a little bit longer. I have another one-off palette. This one is from Beauty Creations. It's called Cali Chic. And this one I picked up on one of my trips to Mexico. I was walking around one of the malls and I came up to a Beauty Creations store. So of course I went in there to check out all the beautiful makeup. And they had some more interesting, colorful eyeshadow palettes, but because I hadn't heard of the brand before and I wasn't sure about their formula, I didn't want to buy a, giant eyeshadow palette. So I ended up buying one of their smaller palettes. Their small palettes were all neutral color stories. And when I used this in Mexico, I was pretty pleased with it. However, when I used this again, once I got back to Canada, I did notice that the shadows performed differently. The quality was a bit lower. And that's kind of when I realized how much climate has an effect on makeup. Mexico is very humid and Canada is a dry desert. I go through lotion bottles like you would not believe. I have to lather myself in lotion because it is just so dry. So, that obviously is going to have an effect on makeup. So yeah, I just noticed that the mattes were a little bit drier. The metallics were not as foiled as they were when I tried them in Mexico. And they also faded quite a bit throughout the day. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is, I guess. Next, I have a Milani palette. This one is called Soft and Sultry, and this is another palette that had really good reviews here on YouTube. And so when I saw it at my drugstore and it was 50% off, I thought, well, let me just pick it up. I was also looking to find like my go-to neutral eyeshadow palette. Can I open this, please? There we go. So yeah, this is a neutral palette, leaning a little bit cool. And yeah, I really did not like this at all. Like at all. The mattes, they can get patchy on me very quickly if I'm not careful. These metallics are, pretty boring. Let me just swatch. Oh, I lost track of what I swatched. Here we go. So let me just show you. So yeah, they're just nothing to them. This one, well, it's not bad on my hand here, but on my eye, this one is very powdery. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like they look better. They look better on camera, but on my eyes, they're just very boring. And yeah, not sure what happened here. It could be that this was old stock and that's why it was 50% off. So maybe this is way past its expiry date, but I still have it. I will probably continue to use this till it burns my eyeballs and then I will finally get rid of it. I'm just gonna grab a little stack here, make things a little bit easier. I feel like I'm losing my voice. I apologize if I sound raspy. I've been trying to film this video for the last 4 days and I can only film this during the night when my kids are asleep. So I'm tired and I feel like, yeah, I'm losing my voice. But anyways, let's continue. So this is my stack of BH Cosmetics palettes. And I've recently heard that BH Cosmetics has filed for bankruptcy, which is very surprising because this brand seems to be very popular. So yeah, what can you do? This is the first palette I tried from the brand. Oh, did I mention what it was called? This is the Color Festival, and I only picked this up because it was heavily discounted on their website. I think this was $7 or $8 Canadian. I was actually on the site looking for makeup brushes, but when I saw they had a whole bunch of makeup on sale, I thought, what the heck, let me try a palette. So yeah, I honestly didn't have very high expectations for this, but when I used it, I was amazed at how well these eyeshadows performed. I pretty much used all the shadows in here. The only one that is a bit of a dud is this one, Haze. And that's just because it doesn't really show up on my skin and it is quite powdery. I don't know if you can see, if my camera is focusing. Yeah, so it's just a bit powdery. It's the only shadow that I don't really use. I really like these like smoky shimmers here, but I do get a lot of fallout with these, so I need to be really, really careful, especially since I'm someone that likes to do my base makeup first. Oh, I hope you can see how pretty they are. Oh my gosh, my veins are popping. My apology. I have veiny witch hands. I do not like it, but you know, that's just the way I look. I was so impressed with this that I decided I wanted to try more from the brand. Sorry, I just have to do a little clean break, get the shadows off my hand. All right, so I decided to try more from the brand, so I went ahead and bought the Trendy in Tokyo palette. It's another rainbow palette. This one also worked really well. The mattes, they're not super pigmented on first application, but I can build them up. The kind of metallic shimmery shades, I think these would be better described, what are they called? Satin? I think that's what these are actually. I think these are like a satin finish shadow. So they're not my favorite, but they're still pigmented. I love this green here, wasabi, and this matte yellow is really nice too. Yeah, so the color on this one I really like. It looks more yellow on my camera, but it is like a light or a bright yellowish green. And yeah, this matte yellow is really, really nice too. I know that they changed the packaging on this palette, and on the website it says it's different packaging but the same formula. However, I did see a video from Angelica Nickfist where she compared this palette with the newer packaged one, and she believes that it is a different formula. The newer packaged one is better quality, and she also says that the shadows are not exactly the same. The colors are a little bit different, so the newer palette allegedly is a little bit better quality than this one. Okay, and my last BH palette is this one right here. This one is called Nouveau Neutrals, pardon my French, and this was a birthday gift. Oh my gosh, I can never get these open. This was a birthday gift from my lovely sister, and it's a warm neutral color story. This bottom row down here is all blushes. Yeah. So these are all blushes down here. I've only used this a handful of times. I want to use it more, and hopefully I can use this in a makeup tutorial in the future. I have a lot of eyeshadow palettes that I would love to use on camera at some point. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to do that in the near future. I'm grabbing another stack here. I have here an Elf palette. This is the Everyday Smoky. And I picked this up because it kind of reminded me of the Milani palette I showed you, the soft and sultry. So I thought, let me try this out and see if it works better. And it is slightly better quality. I mean, the mattes don't get patchy on me, so that's really good. But yeah, it's just an okay eyeshadow palette. If you're looking to create a very simple neutral eye look, then this will definitely get the job done. So yeah, that's it for this one. So the rest of this stack is all ColourPop. This is Smoke Show. This is the first eyeshadow palette I tried from ColourPop, and it is a white to black color story. And yeah, this is really nice. It is unique in my collection. I really like this palette. I will say though that now that I've tried, you know, a couple more ColourPop palettes, I think where they shine is with their metallics and their shimmers. I love the metallic and shimmer formula from ColourPop. Their mattes are good, but I prefer other mattes from different brands. These mattes, while they do have pigment, you know, when I first apply them, I can build them up. I do notice that they do fade a little bit throughout the day. The mattes lose intensity as the day goes on. Other people probably wouldn't notice it if they were looking at my eye makeup, but I notice it. So I just wanted to mention that, but they're not awful. Yeah, just wanted to be a little bit transparent about that now that I've tried more eyeshadow palettes from different brands. But yeah, still like ColourPop, obviously, because I've purchased other palettes from them. So the next palettes, they were a bundle. I got the Disney Villains Misunderstood palette and the Disney Designer Collection. That's not the name of it. It's a Disney princess. It's a princess thing. Oh my gosh, can I read? I was mostly excited about this palette. I only got the bundle because it was on sale and I thought, what the heck? It makes sense to have the villains with the Disney princesses. So yeah, I kind of talked myself into purchasing both palettes. But yeah, I mainly wanted this one right here. And this is what it looks like. I really like this palette. I have enjoyed using it. It is a shimmer heavy palette, which I don't mind. As I mentioned before, when it comes to eyeshadows, I'm all about the shimmers and metallics. And like I said, I really like the shimmer and metallic formula from ColourPop. The mattes, again, they are nice. They do fade a little bit on me throughout the day. I really like this blue though, this like deep navy blue here. This is pretty unique to my collection. And every time I've used this, oh, my eyes just look so good, if I do say so myself. A very pretty, deep kind of navy blue. Sometimes this does get patchy on me, but even on the days where it has gotten a little bit patchy, by the time I finish my whole eye look, I still love the way my makeup turns out. So I believe this is discontinued now, so I'm sad that I never got to review this palette before it was discontinued, but I'm glad that I have it in my collection. This one you can still get on the website, so I will try to get a review up, hopefully before it becomes discontinued. It's a very neutral color story. This was a lot more striking in person. The photos in the ColourPop website, I don't think do it justice. It looks very kind of light, washed out, and in person, I can see that I can create some depth. There is 2 dark mattes down here. It is like those shimmery mattes. I don't mind these types of mattes, but I know some people don't like them. I don't want to give away my final thoughts because, like I said, I do want to see if I can review this on camera, but I will just say that I like this palette in person a lot more than I did when I saw it on the ColourPop website. And then the last 2 palettes I have from ColourPop were recent purchases. I bought these this past Halloween. So I got the Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. And honestly, I was probably gonna buy this palette whether I thought the color story was interesting or not. The Nightmare Before Christmas has a special place in my heart. I grew up with this movie, and now my oldest son, he loves watching this. He's watched this probably 100 times. He loves his Jack Skellington. He loves his Oogie Boogie. For Halloween, I have a whole bunch of Nightmare Before Christmas decorations for him. So yeah, I love this movie. So like I said, when I saw ColourPop coming out with a palette, I knew I was probably gonna buy this no matter what, but luckily I do like the color story. The packaging is very cute. I like it. I think it's adorable. And this is the color story. So I like that there are pops of color in here. It's a pretty interesting color story to me. I definitely get Halloween vibes from this. Maybe not so much Christmas, but Halloween, yes. I haven't tried this on my eyes yet, but I have swatched the shimmers and they look to be that nice ColourPop shimmer formula that I like. So yeah, looking forward to playing with this. It's a very cute little palette. And lastly, I have the Disney Hocus Pocus Gather Round Sisters palette. I missed out on this one when it first came out. I think it was in 2020. So when I saw that they were gonna re-release this this past Halloween, I was excited and I jumped on it. I haven't played with this one either, but I think the color story is beautiful. I heard that people, well, some people were disappointed with the color story. They didn't feel that this represented the movie, which I was surprised by because to me, this totally represents the movie. I mean, I watch Hocus Pocus every Halloween, and it's not like a super bright, colorful looking movie. It is a little bit dark. You know, it has grungy colors in it. It did come out in the 90s, and 90s was all about grunge, so I really like the colors in here. My only kind of tiny critique has to do with the packaging, and it's just that I would have preferred this image that's on the carton, like the silhouette of the sisters. I would have preferred this on the inside of the palette instead of this kind of cartoonish image of them in here, but other than that, this looks like a very pretty palette. Okay, so I am more than halfway done here, which is great because that means I can go to sleep soon. How do people do this? How do mommies do this? I don't understand. Anyways, next I have my Glam Light palettes. I have both of the, what were these called? Paint palettes. This was the original that they came out with, and I love the packaging. I'm a painter, so I kind of fell for the painter's palette packaging. And this is the color story, another rainbow palette, very pretty. I have a video up reviewing this, so just check the description box if you want to check out the video. I'm going to try to speed through these a little bit. Sorry. This is the smaller one, and they came out with this, I think 2020, end of 2020. And these are not the exact same color story. The first palette is more like the primary colors, secondary colors, and you know, it moves on from there. But yeah, very beautiful palette. Love, love, love the packaging. Glam Light always does very well with their packaging, I think, except for the like the savory food palettes. I was not into those. The last one I have here is the Ice Cream Dream palette. Another one that I will do a dedicated video on, so I won't give you my final thoughts on this, but just looking at the palette, it is beautiful. I do get 2 rows of pastel shadows, which is exciting because I have wanted to try pastel eyeshadows, but I didn't want a full-on pastel palette because I wasn't sure how well these were going to look on me. So I like that I get some in this palette, and I have used this quite a bit, so I know exactly how I feel about this palette, and hopefully you will know too soon in the future. Not too long from now, I hope. Okay, this is my last stack, and then I just have one more eyeshadow palette after this. Let's see here. So this is my Celestial Storm palette from Dominique Cosmetics, and this is what it looks like. It's a beautiful color story. This shadow right here, it kind of tricks me. I love this like magenta purple shade. It's so beautiful. And I don't know if you've caught this, but I have this shade in a lot of my eyeshadow palettes. I think that my brain kind of tricks me. And when I see this shadow, this color, I automatically think, wow, that's a beautiful looking palette. So in the future, I need to keep that in mind, that I shouldn't buy a palette just because it has this beautiful purple shadow in it. But anyways, I do think that the whole color story in this palette is very beautiful. This is another palette that I want to do a review on, that I want to make a video on. So yeah, I don't want to say too much about it. Next up, I have a Lorac Pro palette. This one is called Noir. And this is a brown neutral looking eyeshadow palette. This I actually saw on Instagram. It was an ad recommended to me, and I'm not usually attracted to like neutral palettes, but when I saw this, I thought, wow, that looks that just looks very striking. You know, I love the richness of the palette. It does have depth, you know, it goes from light to dark. And I love that there are 2 rows of these beautiful looking metallic shimmer shades. In terms of the way the palette looks, I think it is beautiful. You will have to stay tuned to find out if the formula of these shadows is just as beautiful. I'm leaving you on a cliffhanger. And the rest of these palettes I think are all Drugstore. So I have this Flower Beauty palette. This one is called Sun Blazing, and it's a very warm color story. Flower Beauty has pretty good reviews on YouTube, so I thought, what the heck, let me try one of their palettes. And this one is the one I picked up. The color story is really nice. I can use this in the summer, and I've also used this in the fall. Really like the color story on this one. It is very pretty. Then I have this palette from Pacifica, and it is called Cosmic Reflect. And look, there's that darn purple that always gets me. But yeah, beautiful looking color story. Not going to tell you much about the quality because, like I've mentioned a million times, I know I'm a broken record, but I would like to review this on camera eventually. Lastly, I have this Moira palette. It's called Happy to See You, and this was my first impulse buy. An impulse buy that I regretted very quickly. I was in one of the drugstores. I had to be out of there quickly, but I just went and looked at their makeup section, and I saw this brand, which, you know, my drugstore did not carry before, and I have heard of Moira. So I thought, ooh, new brand. Let me check it out. So I was looking through their palettes, and I don't know why I picked this one up. I really don't. It's just like a very boring color story. If you take out these shadows, it's very mid-tone. There's a lot of similar shades in here. Like these 2 shades, you can't tell the difference once you have those on your eyes. These 2 are practically the same. These 2, all 3 shimmers, you cannot differentiate between them once you have them on the eyes. So yeah, again, I don't know why I bought this, and this is one of the reasons why I thought I need to stop my eyeshadow palette buying, because I want to be a smart shopper, and this was not a smart purchase from me. So yeah, I've learned my lesson, and I'm fixing my problem. So yeah, this was totally my fault. I don't know if I'll even review this, honestly, because I'm not super excited about it. So I will just tell you, the quality of the shadows are very nice. They work really well. It's just the color story. I don't know why they have so many similar eyeshadow shades in this. They could have probably made this smaller, and it is my fault for purchasing this palette. I should have never bought it. Yeah, bad Odie. Okay, we finally made it to my last palette. This is the Norvina Volume 5 palette, and this was 40% off on the the ABH Cosmetics website. Oh, sorry, I had to stop filming there because my baby woke up, but he is back asleep. So where was I? I don't even remember where I was. Yeah, so I ended up buying this palette. I was going back and forth between 3 palettes. It was either this one, the Norvina Volume 2, I think it was, the one that's more blue, and what was the other one? Oh, the Jackie Aina palette. So yeah, I was going back and forth between those 3 palettes, and I ended up going with this one. Oh, let me open it. And this is what this beauty looks like. This is another brand that I had wanted to try. ABH has really good reviews, and so yeah, when I saw that they were having that 40% off sale, I was like, oh my goodness, this is the perfect time to try one of their palettes. I ended up going with this one, and I went with this one because it is one of their larger palettes, so I get more shadows. I like big palettes. I don't mind big palettes. And also this one had more shimmers. Again, not going to tell you much about the formula because I would like to do a dedicated video on this palette. But yeah, it's a beautiful looking palette. And I love purples. Purples is my favorite color, and I love wearing purple eyeshadow as well. That is it for my eyeshadow palette collection video. This took a really long time. I hope that my footage is all good. I guess I will find out. If there's a palette in here you want me to try out first, you can let me know down in the comments. That is going to be it for me. It is late. I need to go get some sleep because I am sleep deprived, and I probably shouldn't have tried to do this video, but whatever. I did it anyway, so hopefully somebody watches this. Anyways, I am delirious. I need to go to bed. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, please take care and bye.